Warning. In this video I will mention fictional cases of death, violence and insanity. Viewer's discretion is advised. Fall, October, Halloween. Spooky time. I have an interesting relationship when it comes to horror media. I can't watch horror movies on my own because they scare the shit out of me. And the same is also true for horror video games. But I adore dark narratives of all kinds, be it heavily unreliable creepypastas, a strangely edgy fanfiction, or my favorite type of horror media, music. You can get away with a lot of things in music. Remember Nena singing about a nuclear fallout? If you don't, you might be too young to remember her hit 99 Luftballons or 99 Air Balloons. Or you don't understand German, or you vibe too hard with her oh-so-catchy instrumental. Maybe multiple of these cases might be true. But still, if you look at some internet top 10 dark songs list, this one might be among them. As a fellow German, when it comes to dark songs, I also get reminded of Genie, which takes place in the mind of a mentally disturbed kidnapper, or Mein Teil, which is an industrial retelling of the arguably most horrific German crime case I've ever heard about. But of course we also have dark sides outside of the land of my birth, like Ludus, The Horror of Our Love, Korn's deeply disturbing piece Daddy, and even soundtracks like League of Legends theme for Fiddlesticks can join in on the horrific masterpiece bandwagon. But of course, we are not here today to talk about these songs. We are here for some Vocaloid. The first disturbing song I can remember listening to has been a Vocaloid song. In fact, it's actually today's subject. But before we can start, I kinda wanna explain some things. This month, I will start a new format on this channel called Deep Dive. Each day, this October, we will talk about a Vocaloid song that I think deserves a bit more love and explanation. Or even both. It's a little series for us to dive into creepy nostalgia and maybe even to find something new among all these tracks. Also, each Saturday we will have a slightly longer video. This time, on the 1st of October, this video is longer mainly because of the introduction, but the next times they will be longer because they will focus on an artist, a series of connected songs, or songs with similar topics. But why just Vocaloid if I know a lot of other non-Vocaloid creepy music? Well, because most creepy music happens to be made with Vocaloids. It makes sense. Vocaloids are basically voice synthesizers, allowing one person to build a full song without once touching an instrument or paying a singer to record. Most Vocaloid producers also don't work under a label, allowing them to do whatever they want with their music, because nobody besides themselves will care how the track will be received. At least that's my theory on the topic. Now, let's finally dive into our first track in the series. Alice Human Sacrifices. Alice Human Sacrifices, or Hitobashira Alice, is a track by the producer Yugami P and was uploaded on Nico Nico in 2008. The video that you can see in the background is the original footage, though over the years many fan-made music videos have been created and uploaded. But not only did these gain more views than the original upload, but also the different artists put their own take on the song into the visuals, which led to some people basically claiming fan content as canon. So I'm not gonna talk about these that much. So let's break down this song and the original video for anyone unfamiliar. The video starts with a text telling the story of a little dream. A dream that will be gone once people stop dreaming it. So, it decides to trap people inside itself, so that it will never disappear. Remember that for later. Enter the first Alice, associated with a spade playing card, and portrayed by the Vocaloid Meiko. By the way, I will go by every Vocaloid's name if I mention the character they portray. Meiko is not unfamiliar with violence, creating her own way through Wonderland by cutting down anything in her way, leaving a blood-red path behind her. She finds her end in the woods, getting trapped behind branches like in a prison cell. Most likely she dies from starvation or dehydration. The second Alice, this one played by Kaito and associated with a diamond card, is a singer that seems rather harmless. but it turns out his singing causes things to get weird. He soon gets shot by a crazy man, and the people still continue to love him. We talk more about him later, I promise. Next Alice in line is Miku, with her clubs playing card. She is a girl beloved by all, so much so that people gift her a kingdom. But of course there is no happy end in sight, so she turns into the queen, but then loses her mind thanks to a dream that she has. In fear somebody sees her in her current rotten form, she reigns on in her castle, unseen by anyone. Last but not least, the heart card enters, belonging to the twins Rin and Len. We hear in their short introduction how they follow a red path and have a tea party under a blue rose. Also, for the first time, we actually see the cards there was always talk about, the heart card being an invitation by the queen. The two travel around Wonderland, opening any door they come across. But then they come close to reaching the first Alice and... well, we don't know actually. All we know is that these two continue to be stuck in Wonderland. Okay, so let's dive into the theory content. Now first of all, let's get one thing out of the way, and that is the theory that this is based on true serial killings in Japan. Simply said, this is just a creepypasta inspired by the song itself. If you simply Google the names connected to the case, you will find that there is no report of anyone with that name being killed. And so we will simply ignore the true story. Now let's start with a setup.
Yeah, it's rewind time.
I think we can all agree that Wonderland is simply a dream world created by the small dream in the beginning. Most people agree that it starts capturing people inside itself, so it never dies. Quite straightforward. When Mako, the first Alice, appears, she acts rather violent in the dream world. I guess she might have guessed that nothing happening here is real, and so she acts without thinking about consequences. Similar to how you kill enemies in a video game, knowing that no living being gets harmed. The blood red path might suggest that she didn't just cut her way through the forest, but also through some other folk living in the dream. But of course, our dream doesn't like her destroying its world, and so it locks her away to look for someone else. The second victim is Kaito, our singer. I kinda skipped over this in my initial summary, but in the original Nico Nico video, you don't just see the comments, but also the Japanese and English lyrics by Yugami P, and also some of their commentary from time to time. In this case, we learn that his vocal cords got ripped out, which... yeah, okay. My theory is that Kaito simply isn't very sane before he even entered the dream. Him being good at singing, even though he should barely get a sound out, sounds to me like he just believes that everyone enjoys whatever sounds he makes. When he gets shot by the crazed man, it's a bystander who can't listen to his noises anymore. And everyone loving him afterwards might mean they enjoyed the peace and quiet afterwards, which is kinda dark. Another idea is that the dream makes the dream folk act like they enjoy it, even though Kaito knows better. The weird acting of everybody drives him even more insane, before eventually turning into the man with a crazed look himself, and then tragically ending his own life. This time, the folk still loves him because they were made to love him, no matter what. Now, Miku enters, being described as absolutely beautiful and perfect in any way. But again, if we look at Yugami P's English translation, we see their focus on the word body, making me guess that she might get into a high position by sleeping around. The dream might solve this as cheating or in general sinful behavior, punishing her with a dream that makes her fearful and scared. The song also suddenly talks about her being scared of her own body, since it starts to wither. Either the dream makes her think that through an illusion, or she simply turns old. Either way, since people might not want her anymore for her body, she decides to continue to rule hidden away from everyone else. Now, Rin and Len. Oh boy. I'll be honest, these two are the point that most people don't seem to agree on. As said earlier, there are a lot of music videos for the song, and somehow everyone makes up a different ending for them. Sometimes they get killed by Miku when following the queen's invitation. Other times, when seeing the first Alice, people guess that Mako cut them down. Other times, it's not even a fellow Vocaloid. People just guess something possessed Len and make him kill his sister. Or something killed Len and took his place without Rin noticing. Because if we know anything about Len, it's that he always dies. Sorry, I know, too soon. Sorry. Anyway, my original stand on this is simply that they never found out of Wonderland. But again, Yugami P tells us with their own original video, yeah. My wildest guess is that the siblings died in the real world, so they can never wake up, and by that are trapped for all eternity in the Wonderland. But we can't be sure, can we? Also, what is with the twins looking for the first Alice? We learned that was Mako, but they already have visited the Blood Red Path. Maybe they have been victims before these 5? Sadly, there's no answer for that either. And honestly, I'm not bothered by that. Everyone has different takes and explanations for different media, and that is totally okay. We just got one more thing to address, and that is Luca. I've seen people theorize that Luca might be the dream or the first Alice, since she kinda belongs to the Vocus series squad, but never appears in the video. While I like the idea, it is pretty unlikely that this is the case. Again, Alice Human Sacrifice came out in 2008, while Luca got released in 2009. And that is it for today's video. Tomorrow and in the following week, we will talk more about songs that I found when I was just getting into Vocaloid. Pretty excited to take a look back. And tomorrow's song is kinda similar to today's, because it is about a normal night turning into a dream come true. Or is it a nightmare? Also, thank you to my one and only Patreon supporter, Janka.